Hey guys, it's me Courtney and welcome to my channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about the new Pat McGrath Sublime concealers as well as her under eye setting powders. I have been trying this out for so long. I got this a while ago and basically I've been trying both the powder and the concealer out in different ways, which I am going to show you a few of those ways in this video. I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions. You guys are going to see everything in motion. So yeah, if you are interested in that, then please continue to watch. This is the actual concealer, which is what we are going to start with. It's called the Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Concealer. This is the actual box packaging that it came in. If I'm being honest, I don't mind this, but I kind of wish it came in like the same sort of packaging as the foundation. I think that kind of would have been awesome. However, I do think that the actual concealer does feel like really weighty, really luxurious, so I do like this. Now the concealer is 0.16 ounces for $32. So if we are comparing the concealers, Too Faced Born This Way Multi Sculpting is 0.5 ounces, which that one I think is one of the bigger concealers in general in the market. We have the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer, which is 0.22 ounces. And we have the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Away Concealer, which is the closest in ounceage that I could find to it. And the Charlotte Tilbury Concealer is 0.13 ounces. It does come in 36 shades. I got the shade M18. Originally when I was online, I was going to pick up M20 because that just seemed a little bit closer to what I like. However, I ended up going into a Sephora and swatching them, and I felt like this one was like more of a brightening type of situation. Now I will say about this one in general, to me it does ring a little maybe golden olive a little bit. Which I'm not mad at. Overall, I'm gonna let you know like all my thoughts on the concealer, but I do intend on playing more so with the color selection. Like I said, it comes in 36 shades, so it does have a wide variety of shades that I can get away with. So I am gonna play with the shade a little bit more, but today we are using M18 in the concealer. Now as far as the powder goes, these are the Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Blurring Under Eye Powder. As you can see, I have two of them. These are 0.14 ounces for $30. I typically for my under eye use more of a loose setting powder. So the only one setting powder that could be for under eye that I have is the Laura Mercier Pressed Translucent Powder. That one's 0.12 ounces. When you open it up, it does come like a little bit dome shaped. And it is a little bit weighty, I guess, for a powder, so it does feel quite luxurious as well. As I said, I'm more of a loose powder type of girl, but I have noticed a lot of brands coming out with pressed powders for under eye, and I'm sort of starting to get into it a little bit. I do believe that it is like a smoother type of situation, way less messy, so I'm into it. You know what I mean? So as far as these go, it does come in 3 shades, and as I mentioned, I got the shade medium and deep. I'm not like a super fan of being super duper bright under my eyes, but you know, I feel like there's a time and a place for it, if that makes sense. All right, so this is your medium and then this is your deep. So this one is something more so that I would gear towards putting under my eye. Then this one to me was just too light, too bright, too beige, too pinky in it. So first things first, I am gonna go ahead and zoom you guys in so we can get with the application of the concealer. I am going to take a few steps so that this application altogether can be the best application that it can be. If that makes sense. So let me bring you guys a little bit closer. One disclaimer I wanted to mention, like, ignore this one lonely nail. Like, I took all of them off, but this one is being so stubborn. And then the other thing that I wanted to say is I am going to go in with a color corrector. Lately my skin has been super duper good, right? Everywhere else has been like perfect, but for some reason I'm noticing more and more dark circles. It could just be lack of sleep. So I'm gonna go in with an actual color corrector today. This one is from Makeup Forever, and I'm gonna tap that underneath. I am doing this before foundation. And for those of you that might be a little bit confused on what a color corrector is, essentially it's a product that you use to sort of combat your dark circles or your hyperpigmentation, anything like that. For me, I don't have severe discoloration anywhere. Most of the time, like, my foundation can cover up anything else. And I do want to mention, I don't use like the really deep peach or orange color that a lot of people do use. It is workable for multiple skin tones. However, I like something a little bit closer to my skin, if that makes sense. So I tend to use a light peach. And as you can see, it's already nullifying a lot of that darkness that I had. So this is essentially your color corrector. Okay, so now that that's done, I am gonna go ahead and put the foundation on. I am gonna use the Pat McGrath foundation today. Now I'm gonna go ahead and go in with the concealer, and we're gonna hit up the usual points of our face. I do feel like the consistency is super duper creamy. It goes on really easy, really glidey. And upon first glance, as you're looking at me, I know you're like, this does seem like it is full coverage. But as I blend it out, it is gonna soften up a little bit. And what I've noticed with this concealer is not really, at least on my skin, it's not really buildable. In the times that I have tried it, I feel like one layer like this, after it's blended out, is about as much coverage as I can get. When I start tacking on the layers, it just doesn't do anything. It still ends up being a medium coverage, medium light kind of situation. I'm gonna go ahead and blend this out. The next thing that I am going to do, I'm not going to go directly in with the powders. I am going to show you what that looks like later on in the video. Instead, I'm going to take my Huda Beauty Easy Bake Setting Powder and I'm going to lightly set under my eyes the way that I normally would. But I'm going to be using way less product. Speaking on just the concealer for the moment, after I add, you know, my Huda powder, it is a little bit more brightening. Again, the concealer color I got is more of a brightening concealer color, but it is super duper blurred. It blended beautifully with the concealer. There is no patchiness, and with every powder that I've used with this concealer, it is perfection. It's not a full coverage concealer to me, at least on my skin and my dark circles and bags. However, again, that's part of the reason why we went in with the color corrector, so that there was that extra layer underneath it. But the concealer in general, as you can see, it just smooths out really nicely. Not really doing too bad with the actual creasing or anything like that. So the powder was able to adhere to the concealer so beautifully. That's one of my favorite things about this concealer, is that it goes with so many powders, and I get a very minimal creasing. Now with the actual Pat McGrath powder, we are going to take the color medium, and I'm going to take this fluffy, it's supposed to be a highlighter brush, but it is a little bit smoother, so it doesn't have as many ridges to hold really tightly. It's just like a loose powder brush. I'm going to tap into the powder, which there is a little bit of fallout, so just be mindful of that. Tap off any excess, and I am going to lightly dust around this area right here. Again, there's light reflex in this powder. Can y'all see that? Yeah, we're taking it just on some of the high points of our face, but we're not going to do too much more than a light dabbing of it. I know you're probably looking at it like, what did that do? But what it does do is give like a very soft setting. However, it still gives it a little bit of luminosity. So while it feels soft and matte, it's still kind of shimmery in there. Can y'all see that? Can y'all see like the shimmer? Even down my nose and right here, it's still set, but it still has a glow to it. I really appreciate that about this powder. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my face, and then we'll get into all of the other times that I've wore it. I'll let you guys see what that looks like. All right guys, so this is the look that we are going to be rocking today. It is super lightweight, doesn't feel heavy and cakey in the least. Like I said, even when I did try to build it up, it doesn't build up anymore for me, but it also doesn't add any more layers, any more heaviness or anything like that. Most of the time, like today, I can get the foundation to go over spots that I may have, so I don't have to spot conceal that much. But I did try to use this to spot conceal, and it doesn't really work for me that way as well. But as just a lightweight, natural, beautiful blending, nice sitting concealer, I do love it for that. Again, I wear a color corrector with it. I won't go without wearing a color corrector with it if I want more coverage. As far as the Sublime powders go, if you guys noticed, I did not use a lot of this powder today, and that was completely on purpose. For the first day that I did use the deep setting powder, on camera it looked okay initially. It did not look too bad. I loved the feel of it. This powder is super duper soft, finely milled, super smooth. As the day progressed, me and my husband noticed my eyes getting really dark around here. This powder oxidizes so bad. Yeah, it looked slightly like I had deep set bags. It looked a little bit, everywhere else that I put it looked a little bit more like a greenish grayish type of situation going on. And then also at the end of the day, it was almost like it was like bright right here, but then it was super dark right here. It was just like a really weird situation. This is the deepest shade that this powder comes in, so I just assumed that maybe I got too deep of a powder for my skin tone. So I went ahead and picked up the medium powder, which again I was scared of to begin with just because of how bright it is. It does say that the medium is supposed to go for all of the medium concealers that she came out with, and because I'm M18 I figured that maybe this is more so what I was supposed to use in the first place. So for the next time I used the medium shade, and I used a brush to lightly tap on the product under my eye instead of using a wet sponge this time, because I figured maybe the wet sponge could have been part of the reason why it did oxidize. Maybe it just didn't mesh well with that method. And again, it looked okay at first, but again, it did oxidize. So the next day that I wore it, I decided to do a loose setting powder first and then take the medium powder on top of that loose setting powder, because I was thinking that maybe this is a powder that does not do well with wet or with sticky or with, you know what I mean? So I went in with my concealer first, then I went in with a loose setting powder next, and then tried to put the medium powder on top of that as a brightening effect. But it did look smooth, it did look brightened. The brightening powder I do feel like did work better with another powder underneath it, if that makes sense. When I do these videos, I try to be as thorough as I can. One, just because I'm really super curious about a lot of things, so I will like try like this powder. Like I said, I'll try it with different concealers, which I've done that, same result. I've tried it by itself, I've tried it as a highlighter, I've tried it just in different forms, and I just feel like there's better products out there. I do like the Hourglass ambient lighting setting powders. Those to me give you that luminous glow without giving you a cast, without darkening or oxidizing any of your makeup. Even I feel like the Charlotte Tilbury, I want to call it Charlotte's Magic Powder or something like that. That one's a loose setting powder, but it does give you a glow, and you can definitely pat it into the areas that you want to be a little bit brightened, and it doesn't make it too bright or stark or give you a flashback. And again, it doesn't make your foundation or concealer do anything funky or weird. I am gonna say pass on these simply because, again, I have not found a use for them that doesn't alter my makeup, that doesn't like do something funky with my makeup that just makes me irritated. So overall, rounding out my thoughts, I say yes to the concealer. Go ahead and skip on the powders. Everything that I'm wearing in this video will be listed in the description box below. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concern, make sure you leave those as well. That about does it for me. Hopefully this video was helpful and entertaining. If so, please give me a thumbs up. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video if the mood suits you, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.